The art of airbrushing or retouching photos isn't exactly a modern invention. Before digital photography, Photoshop, airbrush apps, and negatives even came into existence, artists in the 1800s and the Tudor era were manually retouching portraits of famous monarchs with the stroke of a paintbrush.
Have you ever wondered why women in Tudor portraits look so, well, ugly? Well, that's probably because the beauty standards at the time was to look like an egg. Women were plucking their hairlines back, entirely shaving their eyebrows, and even plucking out their eyelashes, all to accentuate their foreheads. This bizarre style quickly became considered ugly. So ugly, in fact, that many Elizabethan portraits have had their faces painted over in the centuries that followed to make them more appealing to post-16th century audiences. Like, for example, this painting of Queen Elizabeth I, whose clothes and facial features have been beautified to fit 18th century standards.
While people back in the day only preferred to edit out minor flaws or blemishes or even freckles from their pictures, or in the case of political leaders, erase enemies entirely from their photos, now the term airbrushing has gained notoriety for being used excessively in print and digital media to promote certain beauty standards that are at best unachievable.
My mother said to me, she was like, Aisling, if you don't start doing exercise, then you could end up becoming fat thin. And I said, Jesus, Mary and Joseph and all of his carpenter friends, what is fat thin? Oh, Aisling, I read about it in a women's magazine. Fat thin is where you're thin, but you're secretly fat because you don't do any exercise. You can also be thin fat, thin, too fat, too thin, thin in the wrong place, thin in the right place, fat in the wrong place, fat in the right place. But no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you are definitely wrong. And I said, Mother, as if I don't have enough problems in my life trying to live in a society where 25-year-old women are sticking plastic and poison in their faces, so by the time they get to their 40s and 50s, they've nothing to do to themselves but pull out their eyeballs and stick babies' eyeballs in instead. And now I have to worry about being fat thin. I said, go shove it up your floop, Mother.
As Aisling B. so rightfully pointed out, peer pressure to look a certain way and the media promoting a certain body type as the ideal male or female body type has led to teens and even adult men and women to develop a negative body image, eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and other such mental health conditions, as well as led them to adopt unhealthy diets in order to live up to such unrealistic ideals which are physically impossible to achieve. Airbrushing is just another dangerous method of inflicting such unrealistic expectations upon teens and adults alike. Be it through print media, digital media, or even social media, there is no escaping this. In 2009, Ralph Lauren model 23-year-old Philippa Hamilton spoke out against the company for using a very distorted image of her in their magazine. The fashion company claimed that Hamilton had been too large, and as a result they had to distort her picture in order to make her look more skinny. In a bid to curb airbrushing, actress Kate Winslet signed a contract with cosmetic company L'Oreal that prevented the company from retouching any of her images that were going to be used in the ads.
I was on the flight the other day and I took a selfie and he looked over my shoulder, someone I didn't know, and he said, "Oh, no, baby, you got to face tune that." And I said, "Sorry, what?" That was my introduction to the world of face tuning, which I then realized has often happened to, body tuning. I definitely, for the poster of Johnny English, my breasts were augmented. In the poster, the kind of character shot, I've got like a very impressive chest, which I don't have. But there are probably countless times where, our image is doctored and we don't notice it because, I think we're all losing a grip on what we really look like.
And also back then, it was just celebrities who had that kind of pressure to look a certain way. But because of social media, it's even the playing field, and now it's everyone.
It's everyone.
And everyone's got access to airbrushing. People have made me look white in so many of the magazines and campaigns I've shopped for. That hurts me. That hurts me from a cultural point of view. People change my nose to make it look like a little white, like a little Caucasian nose, and they've changed the color of my skin to make it lighter and to make me look more acceptable, perhaps, to a Caucasian audience. Airbrushing and changing my ethnicity is bad for my mental health. It's not just bad for the mental health of the girls who are looking at it. It makes me dislike what I'm seeing in the mirror. I am not good enough as I am, that the way I turned up on that set that day wasn't good enough. It's dangerous for the women in this position as much as it is for everyone reading it.
Yeah, people have started posting videos of their fitness and all, and it's great to motivate other people as long as it's about fitness and it's not about unrealistic goals of being, so-called beautiful.
A major problem is that such images have become a part of day-to-day life, and people are accepting idealized versions of the human body as the norm. We need to acknowledge that this is an issue for both girls and boys, and not only young people but across all age groups. In order to curb airbrushing, media editors and journalists need to reflect on this issue, and publishers should get together to draw up guidelines on the same. But in the end, it all comes down to our mindset. We need to quit judging people for the way they look and be more accepting instead.